Here's part 3 for you now, and we're going to talk about another interesting thing with this verb saber, and this connects very well with the previous video. What we're going to talk about is what happens with a dot past in saber. So looking at this little diagram here, this line is representing that you're kind of going along normally in life. And then something happens here, an event, okay? And after that event, you know something that you didn't know before. Now, in English, we would express that as finding out something, right? You found out something here that you didn't know before, and after that, you know it. Now, this idea of I found out is expressed with a dot past in saber. You can see why very clearly in Spanish they treat it as a dot past finding out something, because you didn't know it before. And then this event happened, that's the dot. And then after that, it was only after that that you were aware of it. So if we look at this, expressing I knew is treated as a line for this reason, because there's no point, we're not establishing any point in time, right? This is considered a line, knowing something. Whereas I found out is considered as a dot in Spanish, because there had to be some event that led to you finding out. And that is the reason why in Spanish, whenever you want to say I knew or I didn't know, you go to a line. And when you want to express I found out, you go to a dot. Just as before with this general expression of I found out, you're going to put in the it part, okay? Even though we wouldn't in English, it's implied, and they do put it in Spanish. So what we get is lo supe. Supe is a dot past for I with the verb saber. And this is how you would express I found out in Spanish, lo supe. How would you say I found out yesterday? Lo supe ayer. Or you could put ayer at the front, ayer lo supe. What about I found out today? Lo supe hoy, or hoy lo supe. Try this one. How would you say I found out the reason why? Supe el porqué. Here we're expressing, we're identifying what it is that we found out, the reason why. So that is why we got rid of the lo and we just have supe. You can see that same rule of defining versus not defining what it is happens through all the tenses and all the different angles. So again, I found out the reason why is supe el porqué. Now this supe sound is a key to getting all the other angles. Let's put it all on one slide. We have supe, I found out. Supiste, you found out. Supo, he, she, or it found out. Supimos, we found out. And supieron, for they found out. We've had these endings in other verbs before with er and a dot past. So it's really this one that gives you the key to unlock all the rest of it. So you might spend just a few minutes going up and down that list, making sure that you've got a handle on it. Supe, supiste, supo, supimos, and supieron. Let's run through it now. How would you say I found out? Lo supe. You found out. Lo supiste. How would you ask, when did you find out? ¿Cuándo lo supiste? He, she, or it found out. Lo supo. We found out. Lo supimos. They found out. Lo supieron. If you wanted to make any of those into a negative, for example, we have I found out with lo supe, then I didn't find out, simply no lo supe. So very easy, just throwing no at the front of it. So in summary, whenever you want to say I knew or I didn't know in the past, you will go into sabía and that sound of a line. Sabía, sabías, sabía, sabíamos, and sabían. Now, whenever you use a dot past with saber, that will always mean or imply that you found out something, and you will go into the supe sound. So you have supe, supiste, supo, supimos, and supieron. It's very important that you make that distinction, and hopefully from the diagram earlier, you can now understand why for I knew or I didn't know, Spanish goes into a line. And for finding out something, Spanish goes into a dot with this verb saber.